Today we're gonna repair that top step, that top landing there. As you can see, this one broke and that one is loose. So we're gonna repair that today. The first step was I just blew it off with a backpack blower to get the leaves off. The second step here, I cleaned out all that loose mortar that turned into sand. And I took my grinder and I ground out any of the mortar that was stuck to the sides there that needed to come out. Then I measured off the broken area on the stone to the right. I cut that with my grinder, and then I took a chisel and a hammer and I gently popped that off. Here you can see I'm grinding out any of the failed loose mortar that was on the bottom underneath, vacuuming it up, trying to get a clean surface for it to have to bond. My new stone is a little bit thicker than the old piece, so I had to chisel out a little bit more of the mortar there to get that down, ground it smooth again, swept it all. I like clean job sites, blew it all off. Here I'm dry fitting a piece that was loose, making sure that that's good to go and I can measure my little piece. Now I'm getting ready to cut the replacement piece that goes in the top of the landing. If you go to my other videos, you can see how to cut bluestone. But it's a diamond blade, 14-inch blade on a steel demo saw. Here I'm dry fitting the new piece and I notice there's another little high spot. So I take my diamond grinder on my 4-inch grinder, my diamond wheel, and I grind it down about another 1/4 inch because I want to make sure I have mortar underneath the whole thing, new mortar. Here I'm cleaning up the underside, making sure the stones have a clean bonding surface. Even the old one there, you can see all the loose pieces falling off. So I got anything that would fall off, break off, or I just ran the grinder off real quick, trying to loosen everything up. Dry fit it again, everything's good. As long as it's low, it's good, because once I put my mortar in, it'll be good. So here I'm starting to pick up all my tools, because I'm done with the demo portion of it, blowing off all the dust so I don't have to breathe it. So I got the old one cleaned up. I got the old piece cut off. I made this piece the same size as that piece. I made the new piece here, same size as that piece there, so it matches. Ground out all the old mortar, scraped the bottoms of the new pieces going in. Hopefully get better adhesion. All the rest ones seem solid. To do the mortar, I'm bringing a bonding agent and I'm going to be putting it on the back of the stones and on the concrete, pouring a little bit in the mortar itself. And then I'm going to be basically setting the height on the mortar and the stones, tapping them into place, repointing them. And once I was done repointing them, I noticed there was those 2 tripping hazards that were low spots that would pool up water. So I ended up just filling those in also. Here I'm just winding up the garden hose that the homeowner left out for me to use. They wind up pretty easy when they're sitting in the sun. Okay, this job's complete. I just got to finish my pickup. So this whole spot here is filling. After I pointed the main stone, this was a low spot from a chip out of this stone, and that whole piece here is chipped out of this stone. So after I secured the stone here and did my pointing the right way, nice and solid all the way down, I tried putting a skim coat in these 2 spots. I'm not sure if it's going to hold. Depends on the maintenance by the homeowner and Mother Nature. There's a small piece that I put in
to replace that broken piece right there. I made this stone 5.5 inches wide because that stone's 5.5 inches wide, so that way it matches instead of having a random size. I ground out that little point because it had failed and repointed that. The skim coat on the bottom had all fallen out, so I put all that in, and you can see it's as level as you can, messing with old stones. So things shift in time with Mother Nature. So I got my caution tape up, so that's all set. I washed my tools, I put my tools away, and then I got to do an estimate on this staircase for the homeowner. This staircase needs some work and he wants some numbers on it. Bottom step is good. This one here, you can see it's heaved up. Same with that one, it's actually shifted all the way out. These are 12x5 treads. This one is good. This tread is good, except it lifted, it heaved. So this bond that's underneath here is not working anymore. Same with this one, same with this one, same with that one. So these won't need new stones unless they break when we take them out. But those four need to be lifted and remortared. The sidewalk needs to be polymeric sand, washed in polymeric sand in those. This definitely needs to be washed. There you go. So I just got home from that job. There was a bluestone step that needed some repairs. One stone was broken, and one stone was loose. So I don't know if you can see, I gotta keep an eye on my cats. My cats are outside. So they're over there playing. So anyways, so you'll see I did 99% of video in time lapse just because it was a 4-hour job, 4.5 hour job, and the videos just get way too long. So what I ended up doing was time lapse, and basically the process that you're gonna see in the time lapse is it's hard to see because it's going so fast. So the first thing I do is I just lifted up the broken stone and I cleaned out what was underneath it. What was underneath it was all the mortar turned to pure sand because of all the moisture that it was being held within that concrete stoop. There's a concrete stoop and the bluestone's mortared on top of it. The bluestone acts as a sponge, so when it rains, water just goes into it. And if you don't let it dry out, what happens is it deteriorates the mortar underneath over time. And this homeowner always had a floor mat on the stone, so to wipe your feet off. Well, that held moisture, and the stones that were underneath there failed. The mortar failed. So, and then another stone had cracked right on the edge. Someone probably dropped something or just a flaw in the stone. So instead of replacing that whole big stone, what I did was I actually cut out a broken piece, and there was another stone inside the inlay that was 5.5 inches wide. So I just made another 5.5 inch wide by 17.5 inch long stone. I cut it to size, cut out the old piece that size, dropped it in there, and mortared it in. you'll see me basically with a paintbrush putting some liquid on out of a 5-gallon pail of white liquid. That's actually a bonding agent that helps the mortar, the new mortar, stick to the old cement and the old stone. And I actually mixed some of that bonding agent with my mortar also in replacement of some of the water, like a 50-50. It gets expensive doing it that way, but it's another way that I can warranty my work a little bit better. I've learned over the years, sometimes the mortar sticks, sometimes it doesn't, and I don't want to have to come back. The other thing that you'll see me do is I actually take my grinder. I got one cat over there and Payman's over that way. So the other thing that you'll see me do is I actually take the grinder with a diamond blade on it, and I actually grind the bottom of the stone. So that makes sure I got rid of anything that was failed, anything that could fail, and I was down to pure virgin stone inside. That was, that the old mortar didn't stick to. So I got rid of all that, and I had pure stone underneath it, pure concrete on the bottom, nice and dry. And then I put the bonding agent on it, painted that on, let it dry, mixed my mortar, and then set it to height. So that's basically pretty much the whole process of it. And then the other thing was I pointed the top. That's pointing is it's called when you're filling in the space between the stones. That's pointing. And so you take your time doing that. And the drier the more you want the mortar pretty dry, otherwise you stain the stones. And then at the very end of it, I wipe it off with a mason sponge. Basically, it's a heavy-duty sponge. So I wipe it all off, wipe off the residue, and 24 hours later, that thing will be good to go. So that front stoop needs a lot of help, but the budget for this job was only for those 2 stones. And 2 of the old stones that were still there that I didn't mess with had big chips in them, and those would hold water. So what I actually did was I actually took, while I was pointing, I actually took more bonding agent, painted it on there, and then I filled that little area in, so that way it won't hold water. Hopefully the bonding agent helps that thin coat of mortar stick, and it'll help prevent water from sitting in there. If this was a new project, or if this was washed, the whole thing was washed and it had no mold or algae on it, I would recommend that a homeowner that get some stone sealer and seal the whole thing. That would help prevent some of that water from wicking into the bluestone itself. Gotta keep an eye on them. And then that way I could that would help keep some of the water out, and over time that would help prevent it from failing. So as you can see, the cats were waiting for me to get home so they could come outside and enjoy the 50-degree weather. So they're not outdoor cats, they're indoor cats. So they have to stay on a leash and a harness. So they're in a lot of my videos. But anyways, hope you enjoy it.